and welcome back to my channel. Today is the start of my very first vlog of 2026 and I am so excited because it has been so long since I last filmed a vlog for you guys. It has been almost a month, I think, since the last time that I sat down and like chatted to you guys. So I'm very excited to be back doing vlogs. I have a lot of books that I'm going to be reading in this vlog, so very excited to get into talking about those. And I'm just excited to catch up with you guys. You'll have to tell me how you guys are doing. How has the beginning of the year been treating you so far? Have you been doing anything fun? I have been doing a lot of reading, a lot of knitting. I've been doing a little bit of sewing as well, which has been very fun. So it's just been a nice chill start to the year. So I hope your start to the year has been nice as well. Also today, not so much in line with my chill start of the year. It is my first day of my new semester, my last semester ever of grad school. Thank God, honestly. I'm tired of it at this point. And it was really nice of my professor for my first class today to actually cancel class because he has a cold. Hope he's doing well, but I am happy that I don't have to go to campus so early today. So I do have class later today, but I don't have to leave for quite a while. So before that, I'm gonna do some reading, we're gonna do some chatting, I'm going to catch you guys up on just things that I've been doing since we last talked, and then we will get on into the video. So I hope you guys are excited. What do I wanna talk about first? I think first I wanna talk about maybe all the books that I'm currently in the middle of. Guys, I'm in the middle of so many books right now. Yesterday, in preparation for this, I went around just like, you know, collecting all of the books that I was currently in the middle of. And I'm currently in the middle of like 7. No, wait, not this top one. 6, I think. I think it's 6. I only have 4 of them here. One of them is currently still on hold, I think, and one of them is an ebook. So we have a lot of things to talk about because I'm hoping, do I want to say I want to finish all these in this video? I'm hoping I can finish most of these in this video. So that's like my main goal for this week is to finish all the books that I'm in the middle of. Honestly, I don't really know what happened. I feel like I kind of let things get away from me a little bit. So I need to get this under control because it's low-key stressing me out a little bit at this point. So let me show you guys all the books that I'm in the middle of, all of the books that I'm hoping I can finish within the next like 5 days. It's like a book a day. Can I do that? Maybe. I don't know, I feel like it's somewhat doable. I'm like halfway through a lot of these. So anyway, let me stop just like too much preamble. Let me show you the books that I'm in the middle of. I think I want to start with maybe like the book that I'm the furthest through and then we'll walk backwards from there. So first of all, I have been reading a ton of the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook by Matt Dinniman. This is the 3rd book that's in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series and I am currently this far into it. So I'm on page 406 of like 530-ish. And I've really been enjoying this book a lot so far. I'll give you more like in-depth thoughts probably once I finish it because I don't really want to spend the entirety of this intro just like going through my thoughts on every single one of these books. But I have been enjoying this one. I do find it, as many people have said, and I also find it to be very confusing because this entire level that Carl is on is this giant train system and I have put no thought into trying to figure it out because like everybody that I've seen read this book basically says don't worry about it because it's not that important to really like know how it works, you know? I don't know what's going on with these trains. I like the setting. I think it's fine. It's not my favorite of the dungeons so far. I think I've liked the 2nd level the most so far, but I feel like there are a lot of good levels to come. So I kind of just want to finish this book up so I can see the levels that are to come. I'm very excited to get into the 4th book. I have no idea what it's called, but I've heard really good things about that one, so I'm quite excited to be able to like continue on in this series. I must say though, I feel like I've really been loving the characters in this book. Obviously I love Carl and Donut. How could you not love Carl and Donut? I think just like the tone of this book is so interesting because it's a lot of action, obviously. The series is so much action, so many things going on at all times, you know? But I think a lot of the character moments are so interesting because we'll be in these like high stress, high stakes scenarios and then Carl just has this like moment of clarity when he's recalling this really traumatic event from his childhood and we'll like switch to doing that for a second and then we're like, okay, moving on, like back to the action. I think that's really interesting. I also have really been enjoying a lot of the other characters that are in the dungeon. We've been, you know, getting more and more acquainted with like a wider array of crawlers that are in the dungeon. And there's this one really, well, she was a really old lady. I can't remember what her name is, but she is so crude and so funny. I just love her so much. I also have really been enjoying kind of this other crawler that has joined Carl and Donut's team, whose name is Katya. I didn't really love her at first, but I've been loving what we've been getting of her in this book, obviously learning a little bit more about her like backstory and what life was like before all of this mess happened. There's also this other party that she was a part of before she ended up finding Carl and Donut, and that is also just like a bunch of drama, which has been very interesting to read about. So I've really been enjoying the expansion on that. I feel like this book really is where the series is like starting to get going, so I'm quite excited to finish this one up. I might try and finish this one up. Am I gonna finish this one up today? I don't know if I'm gonna prioritize this one today. I kind of have another one that I might wanna prioritize today, so we'll see. But Dungeon Crawler, what is this called? Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook is good so far. And also I really, what the title refers to, also very interesting. I've loved seeing what the title refers to in the story. Good stuff all around. Really been enjoying this one. Cannot wait to finish it up. So, one book. This is gonna be like a long intro, guys. I'm so sorry, but we have a lot of books to talk about. I think the book that I am the next farthest into percentage-wise is something that surprises me as well. I contemplated putting this on my January TBR, but at the end of like the video that I filmed when I was talking about my January TBR, I ended up taking it off. I was like, I'm never gonna read that this month. That's just not happening right now. But I got like a little itch yesterday to start listening to the audiobook again. I've been working on like some sewing projects and I wanted an audiobook that I could kind of just like fall into while I was doing all of that. So I decided that it was time that I reread Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. I read this a couple of years ago, maybe, I feel like it was September 2023. Might have been when I first read this book. Me and Cass chose this as a Wyverns and Words selection. That was the book club that we ran together for a couple of years, and I remember liking it at the time. I was going to continue on with the series. I do own all 3 of the books in the Farseer trilogy, just never continued on with them. And I've been desperately needing a reread so I can continue on the series, so I decided maybe 2026 is the year that I finally read Farseer. So I decided to restart this one. All that to say, in the middle of Assassin's Apprentice right now. I'm currently on page 183, and I've been really enjoying this so far. I don't love Assassin's Apprentice, honestly. I didn't love it when I read it the first time. I don't absolutely love it now, but I just feel like there's so much promise for the rest of the books in the realm of the Elderlings that I know I just need to like get through this one and keep going with it. But I still have been enjoying what I've been reading of this so far. I've enjoyed getting reacquainted with Fitz. I find him, even at this point in his life, a very interesting character to follow just because of his position in life. If you guys don't know what this is about, this is following our main character Fitz, who is an illegitimate son to the crown. So they don't want to just like let Fitz out into the world and like have this claim to the throne that could potentially come back later and bite them in the ass. But also publicly claiming him is not really done. So they kind of keep him at like a respectable distance. For the first couple of years of his life, he's with the guy that like takes care of the horses and the hounds and whatnot. And then at some point he ends up kind of catching the eye of the king. And he's like, you could be of use to me. We're gonna do something with you. So he ends up like training to become an assassin, as the title of the book would probably lead you to believe. And you know, Fitz is having a lot of thoughts and feelings about this, obviously. I, again, will talk more about this when I read more of it, but I've been enjoying it. I love Robin Hobb's writing style so much, but I love the way she writes Fitz. I love kind of getting that very intimate look into his thoughts, and I know you spend a lot of time with Fitz over the course of not only this series, but some of the other series in the realm of the Elderlings as well. So I'm very excited to be restarting, hopefully, my journey with the realm of the Elderlings. So there's book 2. I think I need to like go through the rest of these faster because I've been talking for way too long already. The next book that I'm in the middle of, you guys are gonna be so proud of me because I have finally actually started A Winter's Promise by Crystal Davos. I'm currently 198 pages into this one. I'm enjoying it, I think. I don't know. I am very interested to read the rest of this book to like fully form my thoughts. There are definitely a lot of aspects to the story that I am liking, but I feel like I also have a couple of problems with this book. Basically, in general, the kind of plot of this book is that we are following our main character Ophelia, who is in this arranged marriage. She meets the guy, he's kind of the worst, but she ends up going to the place where he lives kind of before they get married. I don't exactly remember why actually, but like just to, you know, get acquainted with him, get acquainted with the place that he lives lives that she will eventually have to live, and that's kind of, you know, the point that we're at right now. And she's learning a lot of things about him. She's maybe realizing that he wasn't 100% truthful with all of the information that he gave her family and her. And he really does seem to be the absolute worst. I mean, the back of the book calls him taciturn, but I feel like he's honestly just maybe like a little bit more harsh than that. Because I feel like taciturn is more like he's quiet, he's reserved, but I feel like in actuality he's kind of just like mean and rude, but still quiet and reserved. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm so curious to figure out what his deal is. Like, that's my main question when reading the book right now. Just like, what's his problem? Then the next two books that I'm in the middle of, I have a lot less to say about, so don't worry, we're almost at the end here. I am in the middle of Letters to a Young Poet by Rainier Maria Rilke. I am 22 pages into it, so I'm like halfway through it. I'm liking it. I'm not really loving it. I was expecting to like it a little bit more, honestly, because I feel like everybody that I see talk about this book, they're like, oh my god, it's like the most beautiful thing ever, and like it just touched me. I'm like, I mean, I'm sure it did. I'm so happy for them, obviously. And you know, there's some lines in here that I like. The way he talks about books I enjoy, but for the most part, I'm like, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's a really interesting look at the like one-sided correspondence between these two people. It's between Rilke and this, what's he like, he's a young officer cadet, and a lot of the advice that he offers him definitely extends beyond just like poetic advice. Like, the guy's trying to write some poems. Obviously Rilke writes poems and he like wants feedback on them. And Rilke ends up giving him so much more than that, which I do enjoy, but I don't know, it's not my favorite thing. I will finish it because I'm like, as I said, I'm halfway through it. I literally only have 20 pages left, but you know, I have been like underlining some things, circling some things. I do find some of these things to be very nice. Oh, this one's nice. There's this thing that he said about rereading books that I really liked. It says, but I can tell you that later too, one always traverses these books with the same astonishment, and that they lose nothing of the wondrous power, relinquish none of the magical qualities, which they lavish on the reader the first time around. Which I've been doing a lot of rereading recently. I reread The Starless Sea, I reread the first two books in the Emily Wilde series, and it's so true. I was like, I am feeling this right now so hard. So I like that. You know, like generally I'm liking it, not loving it, but I'm gonna finish it. I think it's interesting, so. And then the final book that I'm currently in the middle of is the third book in the Unselected Letters of Emma M. Lyon series by, who's it by? Beth Brower, maybe? I am only 5% through the third volume of this, but I read the first two volumes a couple of weeks ago and they are so fun. I've been enjoying these so much. One of you guys actually recommended this series to me in the comment on one of my recent videos, and then one of my patrons was reading it recently as well. And they're so short. The first couple of books are like 150 pages maybe. So I decided to give them a read and I am enchanted, honestly. It's not like magical or anything, but it is this historical series. I think it takes place in like 1880s London maybe. And we're following our main character Emma, who is moving to her family's house in, I can't remember where it is. I think it's some made up place in London though. And she's moving in there with her horrible uncle, but she is going to inherit the house after she reaches the age of majority, I think in like a year maybe. So she's dealing with all of that, but there are also a lot of, honestly, for lack of a better term, zany characters in the area. This little place that they live in is very quirky in and of itself. There are a lot of quirky characters there, but I feel like it's just the right amount of quirky. It's this very normal kind of slice of life series, but with these oddball characters to like spice it up a little bit, I would say. And I've been enjoying it a lot, so I would like to make some progress on the third volume. I don't know if I'm going to finish it in this video. I already have so many reading plans, so we'll see. But those are the 5 books that I'm currently in the middle of. I'm also still in the middle of Piranesi. Way too many books. I'm in the middle of way too many books, so like I can only prioritize so many of them eventually. Because I also would like to maybe start The Spear That Cuts Through Water in this video as well. I know, like the reading plans are crazy today. I know. But I don't think I'm gonna finish this one, but I'd like to start this one this week as well because my live show for it is in a couple of weekends and I would like to make some progress. So this is what we're going to be focusing on for the foreseeable future. I'm thinking maybe I'd like to finish a book a day kind of vibe, aside from The Spear That Cuts Through Water, obviously. So the rest of these I would really like to make some progress in. So I'm thinking today, because I'd like to get back to my sewing project, which I might show you. We'll see if it turns out well. If it's not turning out well, I'm not going to show you. But if it turns out well, I'll show you guys what I'm doing. I'm making like a quilted jacket coat kind of thing. And right now I feel like it's 50-50 on whether or not I'm going to like the final result for it, so we'll see. But I definitely would like to maybe continue to listen to the audiobook for Assassin's Apprentice. That's basically what I spent all of yesterday doing, working on that and listening to my audiobooks. I think I would like to continue that today before I have to go to class. I feel like I could finish this today maybe. I might give that a try. We might be trying that. So this is my reading plan number 1 for the day. I also did want to catch you guys up on some knitting related things because it has been a month, like I said, since we last talked. First of all, I'm wearing my Cumulus blouse, which I'm not going to show you in full because I think I made it too short. I was kind of tired of working on it, honestly, so I just bound it off. I was like, this will be fine. I'm sure it'll grow a little bit with blocking. And it did, but it's still like way too short. When I wear it with my normal high-waisted jeans, it looks fine, but like anything else, I'm like, this is way too cropped, you know what I mean? So I feel like maybe at some point I'll go back and add more length to it. I have a bunch more of this yarn, so that's okay. But I like the fit of it. I like the sleeves. I didn't do any like decreases for the sleeves. I feel like normally with the Cumulus blouse, it's very like cinched at the cuff, but I didn't want that, so it's kind of like a, not really a flare, but like a little bit of a flare. I don't think I like working on fingering weight garments, which is really unfortunate considering the other project that I'm currently working on is also what's kind of like a sport weight, I guess, because I'm holding a fingering weight with a mohair. But I did start working on my Norma sweater. Nope, I think it's like this. But here's how my Norma sweater's looking so far. I am contemplating maybe not using the pinks for the stripes. I think there's a chance that I might swap out the pink for just other shades of brown, which seems really boring, but like now that I've knit it up and now that I'm looking at it, I do think it's cute, but I just feel like I would get so much more wear out of this if it was just all in shades of brown. It's a shame because I do really like the pink and brown color palette, but if I'm gonna spend this much time working on something, I want it to be as wearable as possible for me, and I just don't really know if the pink is me. Like, I don't wear a lot of pink. I don't know. I need to think about that. I wanted to show you guys how it's going because it's looking all right, I'd say. But I love the color work. I love the stripes. I think it's also like really nice when it hits that like raglan increase. I just think it looks so cool. So there's my Norma sweater. It's been fun to work on, and honestly, frogging it doesn't sound like the worst thing ever. That's kind of how that's going so far. But I think as for that might be everything that I have to share with you. Just a lot of reading updates and a lot of knitting updates. I've spent way too much time talking about all of this anyway, so it's probably time to get on into the vlog. As I said, I'm going to read some of Assassin's Apprentice today, go to class today. I think I really desperately this week need to catch up in my Hobonichi. That is another plan that I have for this vlog as well. There will be a lot of catching up in my journals. So let's just get on into it. I'm sorry this intro has been so long, but I was just so excited to get back and chat with you guys. I hope you don't mind the very long intro. So let's get into the vlog. I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so it is now Thursday morning and I'm back with quite a few updates for you guys. I have finished a couple of books, I have done some knitting, which I want to talk to you about, and I also did some book shopping the other day, which we also need to chat about. I decided, as a little first day of my last semester of school ever, treat to myself, I would go to Barnes & Noble. And my initial plan for January was to go on a book buying ban. Didn't do it. I don't even care that much, honestly, because I'm very excited about the 2 books that I picked up, which I'm gonna just show you guys now. First of all, you're gonna think I'm crazy for this because I do maybe own 2 copies of this book already, but both of those copies I picked up from the thrift store. They're not exactly copies that I would want to annotate, and with this book specifically, I would like to annotate, especially because it is my Patreon February buddy read. So like next month we are reading this book together and I'm very excited about it. And that is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Obviously I needed to get the Penguin Classics Deluxe Edition. She's beautiful. I have been wanting this for a while, but I told myself I would not buy this one until I read my copy of Jane Eyre, which we all know I did that. Yeah, I did that. So it was high time I picked up this copy of Wuthering Heights. It is so disconcerting. The art style on it is just like what's even going on, I don't know. But I love the more gothic looking covers that some of these editions have, and these are all done by Ruben Toledo. Love him, he can do no wrong, because I love every single one of these covers. I would really like to get the one that he did for Pride and Prejudice. It does not match the vibe of the story at all, honestly, but I don't even care. I just think it's so cool. So need to get that at some point, but I wanted to get Wuthering Heights. I also just really like the construction of these books. Like they're just nice, like thick pages, deckled edges. I know some people are not deckled edge lovers. I personally am. I love a deckled edge. I honestly don't really know what I'm gonna think of Wuthering Heights. I feel like people either really like it or they really hate it. So I don't know where I'm gonna land in that, but I'm interested to just jump into it and see. Then this next book is actually what inspired my book shopping trip, because I was on some sprints with my patrons last weekend and we were talking about like whimsical books, like fairy books, stuff like that, as one does. And one of them brought this up as a good classic recommendation. I believe it was written in the 1920s, and that is Lud-in-the-Mist by Hope Mirrlees maybe? I believe this is about a town that is being terrorized by fairies, which obviously I'm very into. And it says it's a dark and enchanting rediscovered classic. This book is following a respectable mayor of the town of Lud-in-the-Mist on a quest to bring his children back from fairyland. Oh, it just sounds so good. I'm so excited about this. Literally as soon as I was made aware of its existence, I was Googling, I was figuring out where I could get it, realized it was available at Barnes & Noble. I was like, thank you, I'm going like actually right now. So I cannot wait to read this. I'm really hoping to read this in February as well, mainly because I'm just really intrigued by it. One thing I must say about this though, I really like the cover illustration, but like this book, this is sad, honestly. Like the amount that this opens is just, I'm gonna have to read it like this the whole time. I don't even know how you would like crack the spine on this. It's just like, I don't think you can, but it's just a sad book. What is that? I just opened this page. Chapter 7 is called Master Ambrose Chases a Wild Goose and Has a Vision. I don't know what that's about, but I'm intrigued by it. So here are my first 2 book purchases of the year. Honestly, worthy picks, I must say. So had to show you guys my book shopping spoils, shall we say. And then I have also done some book finishing as well. So bought 2 books, finished 2 books, it kind of all evens out. Well, actually one of these I've already read before, so does it really? I don't know. Anyway, let me talk about some books because I have finished. I already said I finished 2. First of all, I did finish up my reread of Assassin's Apprentice, and I am very excited to jump into Royal Assassin. I do think I ended up liking this a little bit more on the second time around. I also was not under a time crunch to read this the second time around, which definitely helps, but I really enjoyed following Fitz throughout this story. It is a very slow paced, I wouldn't necessarily call it meandering, but we are spending a lot of time with Fitz and just kind of his experiences that he's having at, I think he's only like 14 at the end of the book, so we're kind of following him over like an 8-year period, I think. And we're seeing a lot of his interactions with different people that are within the court and kind of how they react to Fitz. So I really like Fitz as a character so far, and I'm super interested to follow him into like later points in his life, which I'm assuming the other 2 books in this trilogy are going to do, so I'm very excited to jump into Royal Assassin. I also really like the structure of this book. It is told in a way where Fitz is like reflecting on this time in his life. So at the beginning of each chapter, you get this segment where he is in current day, like writing a history of like just various things about the area that may pertain to that chapter, and then he like goes back into his life and is recounting all of these things to you. And I love it when books have that kind of structure, because there's always kind of moments when the narrator will be like, I don't know why I was doing this at the time, or little did I know, like subtle foreshadowing stuff like that. I must say though, this book makes me sad. I feel like Robin Hobb is just gonna make me sad in general, because there were like, honestly, like 3 points in this book where I was like, I may cry. There was one point towards the end of the book where a certain character makes a reappearance, and I was like, you can't do this to me right now. Like, I'm so sad. And I feel like this was just a small taste of the pain that Robin Hobb could put me through, so I'm like, what am I in for? When I continue the series, I don't even know. But I really enjoyed getting reacquainted with this world, with these characters, with Robin Hobb's just general vibe. I really, really enjoyed my reread of this. So I will be jumping into Royal Assassin hopefully soon. I said that the first time I read it and I didn't, but hopefully I will actually do it this time. So really liked Assassin's Apprentice. And then yesterday I also did finish up the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook. Definitely a different vibe from Assassin's Apprentice. This is a very, like, you know, slow-paced, character-driven story. This one is, like, very much not exactly that. Like, there are character moments, and you like the characters and you love them, but there also is a lot of, like, action going on in this series and exciting things going on in the series. And I don't know if I'd say there's any like action or exciting things going on so far in this series. So different vibes for sure, but the variety's nice. But I really like this one specifically for the kind of expansion of the political climate of the universe in this one. In the first two, we're definitely just getting acquainted with how the game works. We're learning things about Carl and Donut and all of the other crawlers that are kind of like coming in and out of the story. But in this one, it does take a little bit of time to focus on the universe at large and kind of focus on the company that is putting on these games and how they may be using them not only for entertainment but also to push their questionable prejudices and whatnot onto the people of the galaxy that are watching this. Because when I tell you so many people are watching this, like billions of people are watching these games, so the audience that they have to kind of like push their agenda onto in a way is just insane. And seeing how they're doing that in very subtle ways I find to be really interesting, and I think it's kind of opening up a wider plot for this series, because in the first two books it's kind of very small scale. We're focusing on just the crawlers, just the dungeons that they're in, but this one kind of like expands. Do you mind? Do you want to show your butt to everybody on the internet? But in this one I enjoyed getting a little bit more than that. I still have no clue what's going on with the trains in this book, honestly. Don't ask me anything about the trains. I found it to be, you know, like an interesting setting. Not my favorite, really not my favorite, but I'm very excited for the fourth book. I don't know what it's called. Is the fourth one Gate of the Pharaoh Gods? I think it might be. Those are the two books that I finished since the last time that we talked, but I've also done a couple of other things, because not only did I go book shopping, but I also went yarn shopping yesterday, and I have selected some different yarn for my Norma sweater, and I think I'm liking it. I don't know. Honestly, I think I'm just gonna leave it because I don't really want to undo this again. I did kind of mess up my short rows a bit when I unraveled. Just gonna sit there. When I unraveled the pink that was on here, so I'm like, I simply cannot unravel it again. But I picked up some shades of brown for my Norma sweater instead of the pink, which I'm definitely liking a lot more. The only problem is the two shades of brown that I chose are like very cool toned, and I think the brown that I'm using for the majority of the sweater is very warm toned. Oh, hey now, stop it. She found the mohair. I have like 6 balls of yarn attached to this thing right now, so I cannot have her doing that. I was looking at it last night and kind of losing my mind a little bit because I was like, this looks so gray. But I'm thinking in the daylight, it's not as bad. I don't know. What do you think? Thoughts, opinions? I'm probably going to continue to work on it anyway. I feel like maybe I should do another stripe and see how I like that. But I'm probably going to end up leaving it. I feel like it'll be fine. Right? I'm back and forth, because sometimes I'm like, oh, it looks good. And then sometimes I'm like, well, no, it looks like a little bit weird. So I just don't know, honestly. But I must say, I do really enjoy doing the color work on this. It is so fun. I can also do color work with like both hands. I can do continental and English color work at the same time. So I really like doing the little color work bits that are on this. They're very fun. So that's how the Norma sweater is looking so far. Definitely going to be working on this a lot over the weekend. I think we're supposed to get a lot of snow this weekend. So it kind of sounds like the perfect time to do some reading, do some knitting on my cozy sweater. So that's kind of, you know, how that's looking. Gotta carefully, well, where am I putting this? Transport it. And then yesterday I also picked up some more yarn, which I shouldn't have done, but I've been really curious to try this yarn and I think I like it. It's interesting. It's a superwash merino, which I've never used before, but it's the Malabrigo Rios. I got it in the shade Lettuce, I believe, and it's this really nice green color. I know we're all shocked that it's green. Why is this wet? Hey, why is this wet? Do you wanna answer that question for me? That's gross. If you have cats, I'm sure you know what it's like when you're like working with the yarn and then you pull it through your fingers and it's wet. Nasty. But I just cast on a neckline for, I don't know, some sweater. Maybe it's the step-by-step sweater again. I don't know. I just wanted to try it out. I want so badly to make a raglan sweater with like 2x2 rib on everything with a little rolled hem. I think it looks so cute and I thought maybe this yarn could be a good candidate for that. You know, it's not looking good right now, but we'll continue to see. I think I'm gonna focus most of my efforts on the Norma sweater, but like if I want something a little bit more mindless, this could be a good option. So do not mind how that's looking right now. I'll fix it later. But I think that's everything that I have to catch you guys up on for now. It is currently 10:37, so like I need to go to class 5 minutes ago probably. I have class today and then later this afternoon as well, so I don't think I'll be able to do too much today. What am I gonna read though? That should be on the docket. Oh, I should probably read some more of A Winter's Promise. I read a little bit of it a couple of days ago, but I haven't like fully gotten back into it, so I think that's gonna be my next reading plan. I'd like to finish that. That's the plan. I feel like, oh, that'll be kind of perfect for like this snowy weekend ahead. Wait, that's kind of stunning. All right, cool. So I'm gonna go to class. I'm gonna do some reading later. I'm gonna do some knitting later, and I will talk to you guys maybe tomorrow. Ooh, maybe I should do my Hobonichi update tomorrow. See, I want to do my Hobonichi update, but like it's gonna take so much prep work because I have to remember what I've done for the last few weeks. I have to collect photos. I have to do the journaling, all that kind of stuff, and I really want to do it, but I'm just like, I gotta hype myself up to do it. So like maybe tomorrow morning I'll do it. Anyway, I really gotta go. I'm just like rambling at this point, so I'll see you guys later. am swiftly realizing that this is like the 4th day in a row that I've worn something green, and you are all now privy to that. I wouldn't say I'm surprised, but I definitely think it's a little bit funny. Anyway, I'm back with a couple of updates for you guys. I have one reading update. Also yesterday, I had the most beautiful wintry day. It has been very snowy here recently. There's a winter storm currently, you know, just everywhere in the US right now, I think. I think so many places are getting a ton of snow. I don't think I'm getting quite as much snow as some places are. So if you're in those, like, more heavily affected areas, I hope you are staying safe. I hope you're staying well. But yesterday I wanted to make the most of it because we don't get snow a ton here. I would say like 4 to 5 times every winter, I guess. But I love snow. There's just something so magical about it. So I wanted to, you know, seize the day. And I have some reading updates from what I was reading yesterday. So let's talk about that really quickly. I have made a little bit of progress in this book. I'm currently on page 305, so I'm thinking maybe I'd like to try to finish this up today. I have like 200 pages left, and I do have sprints with my patrons later today, so I feel like that should be doable. Let's talk about this book, because I feel like I haven't given you a ton of thoughts on it so far, and I feel like the more I read, the more I can like actually formulate an opinion on it, because things are actually happening now. I feel like for the first half of the book, honestly, it was a little bit slow. I was liking it. There are a lot of aspects to this book that I was liking, but I'm like, where are we going with this? But I feel like once we hit part 2, that's really where things have gotten going. Ophelia is kind of being forced to go to this different place. Originally, she was staying with her, like, fiance's family, but due to some turns of events and like some political maneuverings and whatnot, Ophelia now has to go to this other place and kind of pretend to be somebody that she's not. And I think it's an interesting turn for the plot, but it also just seems like a really random turn for the plot. I'm like, why don't they just go home? I don't know, maybe that was explained and I missed it, but I'm like, why are we doing this? That's besides the point, because I'm still somewhat entertained by the plot, so it doesn't really matter that much. But overall, let me talk about the characters first, I think. Obviously, you know, we are following our main character, Ophelia, and I feel absolutely nothing towards Ophelia. I feel like she is a very bland character, and she's also that kind of character that is constantly talking about how plain and dull she is, and she's all plain and dull because she wears glasses. I'm like, girl. She talks about it in every single chapter. I'm like, I get it. Like, if that's what you want your character to be, then that's fine, but like, do not remind me of all of these, like, bad traits of hers every single chapter. I'm not gonna forget. Trust me, like, you've beat me over the head with it already. Don't say it again. I just don't really feel anything towards Ophelia. She hasn't really done a whole lot that is making me feel one way or the other about her. And I think maybe that is somewhat intentional, because in this first book, she is just kind of being moved and pushed and pulled around by all of these external forces, and she doesn't really have a ton of agency. But I feel like you can have a character like that is still a compelling character to follow. But with Ophelia, she's just so, like, I just don't feel anything about her. I feel like maybe as the book progresses and as we get towards the end of this and maybe more exciting plot things start happening, I might start to enjoy her as a character more, but as of right now, I'm just kind of like, eh. She has some interesting moments. There are some times when she, like, defies the forces around her, but for the most part, she's kind of just there. Also, something I thought was so funny is, I don't really consider this a spoiler. It may be like a very mild spoiler, so like skip ahead 30 seconds if you don't want to hear about this, but I wouldn't consider it a spoiler. But there was this conversation that's happening between Ophelia and Thorn, who is her fiance. And at first he was very taciturn and quiet and kind of an ass, honestly. But they were having this conversation where he was like, I think I've grown used to you. Like, so neutral. Obviously it's kind of saying a little bit more than he's letting on, but like, nothing crazy, you know what I mean? But then like 3 pages later, Ophelia was like, oh my god, he said he's in love with me. I don't know what to do with this information. And it still makes me laugh. I think it is so funny. I'm like, girl, but the jump? I was like, how'd we get here? I don't know, but I think it's hilarious. One thing I do really like about this world, though, is the subtle magic that is involved. There's some more, like, overt magic things going on. The different families that are in this world have these different powers, which are very cool, and I've enjoyed learning about those, but I really like these smaller acts of magic that are kind of present in the everyday. It does make the story feel very whimsical, very magical. I love that these small acts of magic are just very, like, normal, like nobody really bats an eye at them, which I love so much. Overall, I just really like the fantastical elements that are in the story. It's got this scarf that has a mind of its own, it has weather that is changing with people's moods, it has people that can walk through mirrors, and I'm just really, really enjoying all of the just magic that's happening in this book. One thing I wish there was a little bit more of, and maybe we'll get a little bit more of this as the series continues. I think even at this point, I can probably tell you that I want to continue the series, despite the fact that I don't really know how I'm feeling about this book, but I'm intrigued by enough things that I think I want to continue. But I wish there was more of an explanation of these arcs, because I'm pretty sure this like floating island thing is considered an arc, and they reference arcs a lot, but I feel like there hasn't been a ton of explanation of what an arc is. So if I didn't have this illustration on the front, I truly never could have gotten to this point. And that makes me really sad, because I think they're so cool, and I wish there was just a little bit more description of them, a little bit more explanation of them. I don't need like an entire background history on it, but if we're gonna reference arcs and talk about them and that's where we're set, I just want to feel a little bit more grounded in the world, but I feel like the book didn't really take the time to explain these things to you. So maybe that'll come later, but I feel like I'm 300 pages into the first book and we've already been talking about them casually as if you know about them already, so I don't know. So there are things that I'm liking, there are things that I'm not liking. I feel like the plot feels a little bit haphazard at points in time, which I'm not necessarily disliking. I think it kind of feels, and I've heard some people describe this as very like Ghibli feeling, like the plot structure of some Ghibli movies, where just like random things will happen. And I definitely agree that this has Ghibli vibes. I could totally see this being made into a Ghibli movie, and I would love to see it. I feel like it fits in so well with the typical Ghibli elements as well. I mean, we have things that are floating. Studio Ghibli loves things that float. So many Ghibli movies are focused on like aircrafts and things that fly and float and whatever, and I'm like, look at this. This is flying, this is floating. I would love to see a Ghibli movie of this. It would be so cool. So I'm not necessarily disliking the fact that the plot feels a little bit like out of nowhere every now and then, but I do think it's something to note. I just find it very interesting. So I feel like this is very unlike any book that I have read before. It has some common like plot elements to it, but nothing that has happened in this book is what I was expecting in the slightest. So I think I'm liking it. I feel like there are points in the book where I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. But like overall, I think I'm enjoying it. You know, like it's not a resounding, I absolutely love it, but I'm interested enough that I am pretty excited to finish this book up and see where this one leaves off. I'm already very excited to have a new series to jump into, and I'm just interested to see what the overall plot of the series is going to be. I feel like we've gotten like little hints and inklings and whatnot so far, but I don't really know where we're going. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on A Winter's Promise so far. It's going pretty well, so we'll see what my thoughts are at the end of this book, which I'm hoping, again, I can finish up today. But I think that's it for this pretty short update for once. I'm gonna cut it off here because I feel like all of my updates end up being like 20 minutes long, which we don't need that right now. So I'll just leave it at the reading updates. Plans for today, sprints with my patrons, finishing up A Winter's Promise. Tomorrow I'm gonna do my Hobonichi update. I feel like I keep saying I'm gonna do it, and then by the time it comes for me to like actually start doing it, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Tomorrow. I'm making it my mission to do it tomorrow. I feel like I have so many books left that I said I was gonna read in this vlog. We'll see if I end up getting to them. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. updates this morning. I have some reading updates, I have a couple of crafting updates, so without further ado, let me just jump into them. First of all, let me give you guys some reading updates. So, I have done probably all the reading that I'm gonna do for this video. I have finished one book, I've started another book. There are a couple of books that I'm not gonna get to, but to be fair, I did say I didn't know if I was gonna be able to finish all the books that I was in the middle of, and we now know that I cannot finish all the books that I was in the middle of, so I am very happy with the reading that I did get done though, so let me talk to you about that really quickly. First of all, guys, I finally finished A Winter's Promise. All of you better be hyping me up in the comments because I know you did not believe me when I said I was gonna read this month. And I did. And my review is that I feel a little bit lukewarm about it, I think, at the end of everything. There is a lot of political intrigue that gets pulled into the book as we go further and further throughout the story, and I found all of that to be very interesting. The way that Ophelia ends up just being kind of a pawn for all of these people does make me, you know, like commiserate with her a little bit. I do wish she was a little bit more interesting of a character because then maybe I could commiserate with her more. But I liked the plot of this book is very intriguing. I just really wish I liked the characters. There's so many characters that I feel like could be so interesting in this book, and I think they're getting there, but in this book at least, none of them were as compelling as I wanted them to be. I'm thinking I still might continue on the series though, because I still continued to love the magic in this book so much. There's a lot of whimsy to it, which I think is really interesting paired with the tone of this book, because there are some pretty serious topics being discussed in this book and some very reprehensible people doing very evil things. So having it paired with this like light, fun, like whimsical magic stuff that's going on, I just think is very interesting, and I do kind of like that dichotomy, I guess. So overall, I think I enjoyed A Winter's Promise. I didn't, you know, absolutely love it, but I do think I want to continue on the series because I'm very intrigued by a lot of things in this story. The plot, the world building, also the romance that I think is in this series. There's like no romance in this book at all. There's an arranged marriage, but it's not a romance in this book. But based on my own assumptions and my own guesses and kind of the general way these things tend to go, I'm like, is that gonna end up being like a subplot happening? Because I don't know how we're gonna get there. And I'm very intrigued by that, as of course Daisy wants in right now. Hang on. She of course came up to say hello, hi. But yeah, just a lot of things that I find to be, oh, you're just gonna sit down. Intriguing. I'm intrigued. I wouldn't say I love it, but I was intrigued. So those are kind of my final thoughts on A Winter's Promise. Now, I have also started another book. Instead of finishing the books that I said I was gonna finish, I obviously just started another book instead, and that is The Spear Cuts Through Water. As I said, I have made it through kind of the first part of this book. It's split up into like 7 different sections, I think. So we have the before section, then we're following this 5-day journey, each of which days gets its own part. Don't tell me if that grammar is wrong, it probably was. And then the after section. So I have read the before section, so we haven't really gotten into things yet. I think I'm on page 95 maybe, and I love the writing style of this book so far. It is very unique. I have not read a ton of books that use second person, but I tend to really enjoy that writing style when it is employed. I think the only one that I can think of off the top of my head that I've read is The Fifth Season, and it's been a long time since I read that book. So I love that it's in second person, but it does it in a way that's not like too much second person. It's not just like you. I mean, it does do that, but it also takes some breaks from that to kind of recount this story that is setting up the plot for this entire book. And in the first part, we've been focusing on this tyrannical reign of this royal family that has been kind of plaguing this area for a very long time. You get acquainted with the brutality of them, the indifference of them towards their people, and it really is just atrocious. And we're seeing some of the more immediate people around that royal family, as well as some people that are on the outskirts, some people that are like warriors that are obviously impacted by them, but they're not interacting with them. And so far we've been focusing on this warrior whose name is Kima, as he has been kind of given this quest to take this god who is the mother of some of the tyrannical rulers. She has like 3 sons. They're called the Triplet Terrors or whatever. But she is trying to run away from this land and her sons because she's been imprisoned for the last however many years, and they want to put her back in prison basically. So all of this is kind of feeding into the grander plot of taking down this royal regime. We haven't even embarked on the quest yet, but I love a quest, so I'm very intrigued for them to kind of depart on this. I don't know exactly what else this book holds, but plot-wise, I'm already pretty interested. As I said, I love the second person. I also just love the storytelling style in general, because because we're being told this story and it's kind of like you are watching this play happening. So when the storytelling kind of starts, it goes into kind of third person, I would say. But then there are also some first person bits kind of interspersed in there that kind of like take the time to focus on a bunch of different people in the story and kind of share their personal thoughts on what's going on. But I love how it's offering you so many different perspectives without it feeling kind of overwhelming. So storytelling so far, stellar. I love the writing. I think it's beautiful. I'm very intrigued to kind of traverse this world and get a little bit more acquainted with it. And plot-wise, it's getting off to a good start. So I'm really liking the spear that cuts the spear cuts through water so far, and I'm very intrigued to see how some certain things click together, because we've been getting, I think, some hints of maybe certain relations to things that are going on. I have my thoughts, I have my predictions, but I'm intrigued to see if those come to fruition. So those are the couple of reading updates that I have for you this morning, and that is all the reading that I'm planning on doing this vlog. But I managed to finish 3 books, I think, and start another one, so I'm pretty happy with that. I feel like my January reading is off to a pretty good start. I feel like I've been reading some good books so far, so I'm very happy about that. But as I said, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a crafting update because I have things to share. I've done some things. I shouldn't have done them, but I need to do them, so let me talk about it. First of all, I have worked a little bit more on my sweater. Let me show you guys how it's looking. Here is how my sweater is looking so far. I have just started on the second color work stripe, and I'm gonna undo it again. I honestly want to cry. I really do want to cry because I'm tired of doing this. Let me tell you my story with this sweater so far. So I did it once with the pink colors that I was going to use. It looked good, but then I decided I don't really like the pink. Then I unraveled all of the pink, but I messed up 2 of the turning stitches in the German short rows, but I kept going anyway because I was like, oh, it's fine. It's not fine. So I did like the color work on that, and then I undid it again. And then I had to undo it all the way back up to the collar and start the short rows again. So then I'm here. Yes, I've done this since I did those short rows. And now I want to change the colors again. I keep telling myself, you know, it's all a part of the process. It's fine. But like, I'm also tired of working on this. Imagine how far I would be if I hadn't unraveled it like 3 times. Now 4. No, this is the 3rd. Okay, let's not get too dramatic, but like still. My problem with this is exactly what I was saying the other day. I think the brown that's like in the middle of these stripes is way too cool toned. And like, I just keep thinking about it. So I'm like, okay, if I keep thinking about it, I probably need to do something about it. So yesterday I bought a different color of yarn, and it's fine. I'm fine. It's gonna look so much better. And I keep telling myself, like, we're not that far in. Like, really, like, we're just here. We got all of this to go. So, now my camera's gonna overheat. I'm getting too heated about talking about this that my camera's gonna overheat. Okay, we're just gonna see how this goes. But I ended up ordering the Knitting for Olive merino and soft silk mohair combination, whatever, in the color nut brown, which I think is gonna be a much nicer medium shade. I will be so much happier once I have the right color combination on this, but I'm struggling with the sweater right now. However, I really like how it looks. I like working on the pattern. I think it's very fun. I just wish I would have chosen the right yarn combination from the jump, but it's fine. That's how my Norma sweater is going so far. I needed to take a break from knitting anyway because my arms are hurting. I think continental knitting has helped my arms, but like they still do start to hurt after a while. So I'm taking a break until that yarn comes in. It probably is going to be like a 1.5 to 2 weeks. So it's better for me this way. So that's that. And then Daisy is laying on the other thing that I was going to show you guys, because as I said, I think like the first day that I was filming this, I'm working on a quilted coat. So we're just going to move her a little bit. I'm sorry. And I wanted to show you guys how that's looking. I think I'm happy with it. I've tried it on a couple of times. I think I used the wrong like batting, like loft of batting for this. It's a bit thicker, like more structured than I would have wanted it to be, but here's how the coat looks. So we have like this fun gingham on the outside, and then like a, where's the, and then like, oh my gosh, but it's just like a nice floral. It's quilted. I'm putting pockets on it. I think it'll be a cute, probably like more fall piece, maybe spring, like spring and fall kind of vibe. I think it'll be really warm. I use like a cotton batting on the inside of this, and even from the couple of times that I've put it on, it makes me very warm. So like, not good in my house, probably good outside of my house though. So I am working on this. However, I'm also waiting on some materials for this as well. I used the rest of this gingham fabric that I had for this, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna find a different like bias tape, like solid color binding for it. This is like the hardest color to match. I don't even know what you would call this color. It's like every single bias tape and like every single fabric that I found that I could potentially make into bias tape just looks wrong. So I've decided to make the bias tape out of more of this fabric. So I ordered another half meter. So it's like a little bit more than a half yard. So right now I'm just holding on both of my projects, which makes me a little bit sad. But I need the right materials. I'll be happy that I did it. But like right now I'm just like, what do I do? This is the end of the vlog. That's everything that I wanted to share with you guys. I really hope you enjoyed my first vlog of 2026. I am so excited to be back to vlogging again. I took like a month off from it, which is very nice. But every time I was reading a book, I was like, oh my god, I kind of want to like talk about it with you guys. So I'm happy that I'm now back to filming my Norma vlog so I can do that. So hope you guys enjoyed. As I said, I guess I should get like a little recap of what I read in this video. We can chat about that really quickly. 4 books. We worked on 4 books, didn't finish 4 books, but we worked on them. So the first book that I finished was Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Also, I didn't even talk about the magic system in this book, which I think is super cool. I realized that when I was watching back one of my clips, I'm like, oh, I should have mentioned that, which I feel like happens all the time. But there are 2 different sort of magic systems in this world. One of them kind of allows you to have these very interesting bonds with animals, which our main character Fitz does possess, and kind of seeing the ups and downs of that I really enjoyed. And then there's also this kind of magic called the skill, which I think it allows you to form like mental bonds with people, I guess. So maybe they're kind of like hand in hand. So both of those are very intriguing and I'm excited to learn more about them in later books. Fitz is very young in this one, so he's not like super skilled in either of them. Like he has a lot of skill with both of them, but there's so much more that I think he could do with both of them. So I'm very intrigued to see that in the later books. I also finished the Dungeon Anarchist cookbook. Really love this one. So excited to start The Gate of the Pharaoh Gods. That is the 4th one. I finished A Winter's Promise. We just talked about it. I think it was okay. I just don't know. Girl, what are you doing? And then I started The Spear Cuts Through Water, which I'm liking so far. So 4 fantasy reads for the beginning of the year. I did not get to finish either of the other 2 books that I said I was in the middle of. Eventually. But anyway, we have reached the end of the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you had a fun time hanging out with me this morning or this afternoon or whatever time of day it is that you were watching this. I hope you all had a great start to your 2026. I hope you have been reading some great books. Obviously, I would love to know what you guys have been reading so far this year. Have you had any 5 stars? I personally have not. But I've read some good books. I'm happy about that. But I'm gonna let you guys go. I hope you're all having an amazing Tuesday. Sorry I'm posting this a day late, but Tuesday, or whatever day that you're watching this video, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye!